Schizophrenia is a disease of the brain that affects as many as 70,000 North Carolinians, 1 in every 100 Americans. That makes schizophrenia 2 times more common than Alzheimer's. Here in North Carolina, researchers at UNC-Chapel Hill are studying the possible benefits of early treatment of schizophrenia. Dr. Tom Linden profiles one patient involved in an ongoing clinical trial there.
Since he was 13 years old, Chris Arnold has loved music, an interest that lured him to a college in Boston. His plan to play in bands as a professional musician. But in Boston, Chris started getting sick. Sick enough that his mother, Shirley Arnold, repeatedly asked him to join her in North Carolina, where she had moved in March 1998. In May of that year, Chris moved south too. Chris's mother thought she knew what was wrong with her son after watching a report about schizophrenia on a television show called Breakthrough.
Patients who have the illness experience disturbances in their emotional regulation and in their ability to perform the necessary kind of mental and cognitive functions that one needs to do to be able to deal with day-to-day life.
I felt like I was sent to North Carolina to see that show, to get Christopher into that hospital, that the whole thing was for a reason.
Schizophrenia is a psychiatric condition in which people suffer from a number of disabling symptoms, including social withdrawal.
All of a sudden I became very self-aware, very introspective. I can't find the right word for it. I began looking at my past to a uncommonly high degree.
Illogical thinking.
I would think that my speedometer was 10 miles off, so I would be driving at 75 miles an hour thinking I was only going 65.
Delusions.
I had thoughts along the lines that my mother wasn't really the person she claimed to be.
And hallucinations, that is, perceptions of sights and sounds that aren't real. Shirley Arnold was right. Her son Chris was suffering from schizophrenia, and so she encouraged him to meet with doctors here at the North Carolina Neurosciences Hospital at UNC-Chapel Hill.
The sooner you can reduce and hopefully eliminate those symptoms, the better it's going to be for the health of the brain and obviously for the health of the person.
Dr. Fred Yarskog knows Chris and his brain well. Dr. Yarskog has been treating Chris since his first trip to the hospital with his mother more than a year ago.
Here you see the ventricles in this patient with chronic schizophrenia. It's quite large and rounded structures, which is this fluid-filled cavity inside the brain. And the same structure in Chris's brain is much smaller. It still has the same general outline and shape.
Not every schizophrenic patient has enlarged ventricles, and the exact causes of the disease remain a mystery. Researchers believe that prenatal or early life events can increase the risk of schizophrenia, and your chances of getting the disease increase by 10% if a family member has the disorder. In Chris's case, his great-grandmother entered a mental hospital in her late 40s and died there nearly 50 years later.
When you ask, they say, well, she had a nervous breakdown, and I think everything was a nervous breakdown in those days.
By giving Chris medication early, doctors hope to prevent the brain deterioration that often occurs in schizophrenics. Another member of the UNC team studying the treatment of schizophrenia is Dr. Deanna Perkins.
This is in a study comparing 2 of the medications that we use to treat schizophrenia. One of the things we found out from that study is that, in fact, the earlier people got into treatment, the better they've done.
Doctors now have new psychiatric medications that balance brain chemicals better than previous drugs.
One of the exciting things about these medications is that they do work, that they can control the symptoms of the illness.
But the treatment of schizophrenia involves more than just medication. Chris sees a social worker to work on handling daily conflicts, coping with stress, and dealing with the disease.
He comes to his appointments every week and he wants to be well, and he really perseveres.
Janet Kasmer sees great improvement.
Chris is much different, and he'll say he's probably a little more like his old self.
I can use her as a kind of like a mental backboard. I can throw my thoughts and my ideas out to her, and she can provide another opinion, another viewpoint on my thought.
One positive indicator of Chris's improvement is his job at a Triangle area food store. Dr. Perkins says the job is a sign of success.
With appropriate treatment, people can go on to live normal lives, work, have social relationships, all the things that give meaning and value to our lives.
I feel like I'm basically, this sounds ironic, but I feel pretty lucky, first of all, that I found this help, and that it's been successful, and it's helped me. It's helped me to live a better life.
Recently, the National Institute of Mental Health awarded its largest ever federal grant, more than $42 million, to be used for research of brain disorders, including schizophrenia. The research includes work at UNC-Chapel Hill, Duke, and 3 other universities across the country.